I grew up like just really loving like the witchy spells and like all of those
I loved
things.
Harry Potter.
So
Harry Potter books, that counts as spirituality.
I loved Harry Potter.
Right? What house are you in, Jessica?
You tell me.
You the one that loved. I want to
You're
know.
Slytherin for sure.
I'm not no Slytherin. I'm definitely Gryffindor.
Like Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw. I think you're like
Hufflepuff. I know I'm a little
Ravenclaw.
puffy right now, but
No, you're Ravenclaw. I feel like I'm a Gryffindor. Yeah.
Gryffindor?
Yeah. I'm just always trying to find
Me
the
too.
quest
What
in the
am I?
battle. Yeah.
Gryffindor.
I feel like Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff. You're Hufflepuff with this sweater.
Yeah. What's up, mi gente? I'm Jessica Flores.
I'm Ivana Rojas.
And I'm Glorelis Mora.
And welcome back to another episode of Girl, Let Me Tell You. Okay, so personally, I'm really excited for this episode. I'm excited to learn. This one's all about spirituality. This is all about what you're going to do to kind of find your calm in all the chaos here that happens on Earth, which we all know it can get very ratchet sometimes here, and we all have to find our peace.
That's a fact.
And so, I mean, I just want to know, out of curiosity, what do you guys do, you know, to find that? And then I'll kind of get into like what I have turned to that has really helped me, I don't know, ground myself, I guess, in all this chaos.
I pray a lot. I sage my space. I have crystals. I go on walks. I sit at the beach. I talk to the earth and mama, Pachamama. Like I spend time with my family. I do things that to me are like pure.
Yeah.
And that's when I like ground myself the most, because I realize that the most simple, pure things is like really what like just calms my frequency fully, because that's all that, I don't know, for me it's just beautiful.
I love that. I feel like I kind of got off track. You know, like we have a good like year of like you're journaling, you're doing all that stuff. In the first episode, I said I journal, but it's been a while. I used to journal a lot. I like to spread a lot of agua florida in my house. Like whenever I clean, I'm like, let me just, I don't know what this does, but I think it says good energy.
Yeah.
So I just do that. I feel like talking to like a good friend, like having like a good deep convo. I feel like I need to get back to my spirituality and all that stuff. I recently went to like a crystal shop and bought some crystals, which I may or may not bring out in this episode. But yeah, that's what I do. I need to get back to that. So I'm really excited about this this episode, because I want to see like what everyone is doing to get back to spirituality. And you know, I don't know, Jessica, if you want to introduce our guest.
Yeah, I do actually. I'm really, really excited. This is somebody that I feel like a lot of people have been following on her journey for a very long time. And it's so cool to see the evolution that people go through and the different kind of chapters in their life that they welcome. And you see that happening on social media. We cannot continue to be the same person we were not even like a year ago. So I'm super excited to bring meditation teacher Dulce Candy on to Girl, Let Me Tell You.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm just like, I'm such a host of comedy. I'm like,
Welcome.
We're
girl.
so excited.
I'm so honored to be here and to share a beautiful space with you guys. So thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about your story and how you became the Dulce Candy?
Yeah, well, I was a beauty influencer for like 15 years. Started my journey in the military and then beauty influencer, and I did a lot of wonderful activities and incredible things through that space. But I also found myself in a place where I was no longer in alignment. I wasn't passionate. I wasn't happy, even though these were external things that deemed me successful or things that I'm supposed to have to be happy. Something just didn't feel in alignment anymore. And so that's when I started my own spiritual journey, and then having my son, which also activated, you know, my spirituality even more in my journey.
Did you have like a breaking point that made you like really reach out to spirituality? Like, can you tell us about that? Was that a thing?
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with my career, just because I think sometimes, you know, in our careers, we go through many ups and downs, and sometimes it's kind of hard to navigate the low points. You know, I feel like there's always this big moment in our careers, but there's also the journey of coming back down and learning and growing and then going back up. And to me, it had a lot to do with that, you know, just going through the journey of up and down and embracing all of those valleys and the peaks.
So how does somebody, for anyone that hasn't, how do you start a spiritual journey? Like, do you, like, I feel like there's no like handbook for that. Like, Ivana was saying, like something triggered us. Like, what's the first step to taking a spiritual journey? Is it like, maybe you recall what that was for you?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person. You know, I think the most important thing I feel is just to really listen to your intuition and that calling, because that's always kind of guiding your path. You know, there's always these little seeds that I feel like a higher power is leaving to us. And if we settle down and quiet our mind, I feel like we can really tune in and start to listen, even if we don't know the path. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So you mentioned like higher power. And for me personally, my faith is super, super important. I've tried personally, this is my journey. And again, like everybody has their own thing, but I've tried meditation, but even then I wouldn't be able to completely quiet my mind or even find peace in it personally. So the thing that has truthfully like grounded me and made me feel good was God and faith and studying the Bible and things like that, which I am still like seriously on this path. Like I do not know. Like I feel like the more I explore that, the less I know in a sense. But for you, what would that, and for people that are spiritual that maybe aren't religious, what is that higher power for you guys?
That's a good question.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's something that everybody, you know, it all depends on each person.
Yeah.
But honestly, I have been on I've been studying yoga and Paramahansa Yogananda and meditation. And what I've learned is to find God within ourselves, not anywhere else externally, but that light within you, that it goes beyond all of your wants and your desires, your ego, your mind chatter, clearing all of that out and going into the center of who you are, which is God, right? A reflection of God is what I believe. It's nothing outside. And it's finding that connection within you, within your soul, that I feel like anything external, nothing can really satisfy that craving.
Right.
From
What do you
inside.
do with people that, I'm a big astrology person. Like every day I'm like, what's your, I actually, when you sat down, like, what's your sign? What's your sign?
Yeah.
What do you do with people that kind of like question that? Like, I feel like this is not a tangible thing, like spirituality. So like some people will make fun of me like, oh, you're always into astrology. I'm like, what do you feel like you have to prove that to people, or like how much you love God? Like what do you do with people that just kind of like don't believe in the same things you believe?
You know, that's really interesting because I feel like in my journey, I've also gotten a lot of backlash also from expressing my spiritual, just being a human and exploring myself and even wanting to learn all the different religions and everything. But I think we shouldn't judge, you know, each other's journeys because there's no way that I can sit here and say this is the truth, or, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that.
I love that.
That is so true.
I was really excited that you were on this episode because I'm a big, like if I see a sign, I get really like nervous. I'm like, what is, like sometimes I'll see like 3 crows. They're like things in like the Latino culture where it's like, I saw 3 baby crows and I hate when I see shit before I take a flight. I'm like, oh my God, this is the last one. But like I saw 3 baby crows one time, or like my rosary recently just broke. I actually have it here.
There's a meaning behind it.
So I was like,
I feel like there's some meaning.
So I was actually with, well, I probably shouldn't say this because I'm single right now, but I was on a date, just because I have hoes out there, and I was on a date. I
like, don't come for me.
I was on a date, and on that same day, like sometimes my necklace gets tied up because my hair like would be in the way. So I guess I yanked it, and I was like, oh shit. I always said if my rosary broke, something bad, that means something bad. So I'm like, does that mean something bad? Like, is it an omen? Is it done? Or like sometimes like I wear, like I have a evil eye right here, and like sometimes it'll break. Like does any of that mean anything?
I mean, I think it all depends on the person. I find a lot of meaning in a lot of different things. I really do feel like just life in general is always giving you meaning.
Oh yeah, signs everywhere.
Yeah, signs everywhere. You know?
Do you feel like these signs that sometimes we read into, because I mean, yeah, I've looked into superstitions too, especially before I really got into my faith. I'd be like, oh, that means something bad. Do you feel like sometimes it's all in our mind?
Yeah, I want to know that because I'd be like I'd be overthinking.
Well, truthfully, and again, like, and I think it was really cool what you said before we started this podcast. You said, you know what, I don't even, you said, you know, I don't want people to consider me an expert. It's more from your experience.
Yeah,
so I definitely want to clarify that to everybody listening.
Yeah.
We're not asking you questions based off of, is this the truth? Because truthfully, we are all trying to figure it out. It's more so from your experience. Is that something like you believed or something that's helped you out, is like following superstitions and things like that?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it does. I like the same thing. Like I saw a hawk this morning on the way to the shoot, and I was like, that has to mean something, you know? I just feel like for me, I feel like God talks to us in so many different ways.
Albert Einstein has a quote that says, coincidences are God's way of being anonymous. Like you don't know, but you're like, wow, there's feelings, just things that you feel that you're like, wait. It's almost like when you see somebody, and like there's people that I see, and I'm like, I'm gonna have some sort of future with this person. I don't know why. And then 2 years later, we're like in a movie together, or like just like the little intuition, the feeling that you have in your heart that's separate from the ego is something special, and you can harbor that by having a clear channel. And that's why for me, like crystals, I mean, I think God in general, for me, the source is God. It's one thing.
Yeah.
And I see it in everything. And I feel it in everything. And I pray in multiple ways. I have a little altar. I have my grandma. I have a statue of Mary. I have things that I just connect to.
Yeah.
But I also use things like nature and being in church, or being in church, or crystals on my heart, just to like clear the channel within me. And I don't know if that means anything, or maybe it's a personal thing, but it just kind of like gives me a neutral place to really like think about things instead of coming from a, you know what I mean? To like, crystals became a big thing for me. Just like the energy of it, because it's the earth. It's like a frequency. It holds a frequency that you can vibrate to, kind of like music. I don't know if you can relate to that, but
yeah, I think we forget so much about our connection to nature in general, you know, like how we are a part of nature and we're not separate from it. So when we go out barefoot and we walk on nature, on earth, like earthing, you know,
Earthing or grounding is
yeah,
Earthing.
we
Okay, that's a
feel
new word
something,
for me. Yeah, earthing.
you know, earthing, or like the crystals, like you said, like when we're connecting and making ourselves a part of that same source energy, we are able to communicate more.
Yeah.
I feel.
Interesting. And in regards to the comment that we're talking about, coincidences, speaking of which, every night I pray that, because I'm single, and my dream, hold on, my dream is to genuinely find like a great guy, like a guy that, you know, believes in a lot of the same beliefs that I have. So I pray at night, you know, I just say, I pray for my future spouse, I pray for my future family, I pray that, you know, all these things. And I open up my Instagram right after I cry, and I was crying praying. Like, that's how powerful prayer is for me. I will sit there in bed and I will literally start bawling, crying, because I feel the power of the Holy Spirit.
I'm not praying hard enough.
me too. No. I cry on my knees. I cry on my knees. Like, it just comes out. It just comes out when you really tap in.
When you really tap into like that power that I have. And by the way, for many years I was not religious. I was like, what does that even mean? I don't feel God. I was raised in Catholic church until I really felt it and understood what people were talking about. But anyway, back to the point. I was crying. I was like, oh, like, I love you, God. And then I opened up my Instagram, like, you know, a couple minutes after, and the very first post was praying for and waiting for the correct man is worth, I forget what it was, like, is worth being patient for. And I started crying again because I felt that. I was like, that is crazy. Like, I genuinely feel like that was God coming and telling me, like, you're on the right path. Like, you're doing great, sweetie.
Dude, that's sweet. He's coming, and I can't wait to have him on the podcast. Yeah. Did you pray for your partner? Because you've been with your partner for what, 17 years?
I did not pray.
Yeah. He's like, actually,
it just happened.
It was no crystal. It was literally, he showed up. I love that.
No crystal, nothing?
I was 18, so I was so naive, you know what I mean? It was a whole different time in my life. But I believe in that. Yeah. I believe in what you're doing, and like manifesting, right? Intention and setting
Focusing.
that energy. Yeah. Religion and spirituality can sometimes cause such a big divide when in truthful, it's supposed to be something about just rooted in love.
I feel like I pray a lot for my career, because like I feel like I'm not like I feel like I'm more like spiritual, like, you know, like everything. I feel like there is a plan for me on this planet, and I'm like, okay, whatever that is, I'm just gonna follow that. But it wasn't until I had like a really dark time right before the pandemic where I was about to be evicted from my apartment. I was just doing, I had left my 6-figure job and I was doing comedies full time. Like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? And I was like, there's no other way I can get through this. Like, that's when I started really building my relationship with God, because like, there's no reason why I should have made it here, because I literally did not have rent money each month. So that's when I started like praying, and I was not crying, but I was praying, girl. Yeah. And also like when I was like in a really like abusive relationship, and I couldn't get over it, like I was like, what is the one thing I'm not doing? Like, what is one thing I could do differently that I'm not doing? And I just started praying. So ever since that relationship, I've just been praying every night. I'm like, I'm gonna just pray. Like, every time I pray, something good comes out of it.
Something beautiful happens.
But I'm not like, I feel guilty sometimes, because I'm like, you ladies are chilling with God, and he's right there on the couch. But I'm just like, I just, it's not a big part of my life. So I guess sometimes I do feel guilty, because I'm like, I stopped going to church when I was like 16, and I'm just trying to, I mean, who knows what the future holds? I mean, hanging out with Jessica, I'm like, I need to put a picture of God in my apartment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I do have the 12 the dinner that they went to.
The last supper.
I have
the 12 breads.
I'm gonna get canceled, but I because I'm Dominican, I feel like every person that's Latino has to have like some kind of like worship thing in their apartment. So I went to a 99-cent store and I bought the Last Supper, and I hung it up in my kitchen. So that's my thing. That's how I honor God.
So I want to know, like, you know, from your guys' perspective, because I know spirituality is obviously the thing that has really, really helped you guys. I want to kind of get into the realm of like spirits and demons, because truthfully, like even on, hold on, I want to talk about this. I know, everybody like gets scared about that, but truthfully, if you believe in something that is, you know, a good light, there's obviously the darkness too,
duality.
And if you in duality, and I think that's like nothing to be, you know, I don't think that's something that people should shy away from talking about or addressing, because truthfully, we all deal with duality within ourselves, within, you know, whatever you feel like is around you. And I feel like unless you address it, it's how are you going to ever be able to tackle that in your own life? How are you going to ever be able to like approach it in your life? So for you and like your experiences, when you have felt, you know, and what you would say, like that bad energy, or you feel like you have maybe like an omen, like do you turn to like limpias, or like what exactly is it that's like helping you?
Oh my God, yeah, I've done limpias before. I love spiritual bathing also with agua florida, also just to kind of cleanse my aura. Florida water is kind of like a cologne, but it's used in the spiritual community.
Sometimes I use it as perfume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Some today. But I think those things are so important, even when you're in any kind of environment, just to cleanse yourself, even if it's not a negative environment. Right. I think it's important to just kind of like neutralize the energy in your body and whatever you absorbed, because even our hair, you know, it's known as antennas. It absorbs energy also, you know?
Yeah,
so
I've heard that.
I've actually heard that.
It's, yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt a lot of, I mean, not lately, but I felt negative energies before. And I think ignorance of not knowing what it is scared me a lot. So learning about different religions and different, just learning about all of it has really empowered me to not be so afraid of the things that I don't know, or the things that I might be perceiving as evil too.
What are some of the religions that you, because you mentioned that a few times, like what are the other religions that you kind of studied?
Well, I'm studying a lot of yogic philosophy right now, and just understanding their gods and how, like what they worship, or you know what their spiritual practices are, because I grew up Catholic also, and then I ventured into Christianity and everything, and then I felt a lot of fear from like my community being projected onto me, and so the best way for me was to learn about everything else and to understand it and not be afraid or judge what other people believe, you know?
It's all one God.
That's kind of scary though. Like if you, I mean, again, I don't really take, it's not that I don't take, it's not a big, huge part of my life. I feel like I do pray, but like to have your community kind of be mad at you for making your own decision. Because a lot of the times we're born into these religions. Like I grew up Catholic, but I never like questioned this. Like my mom was Catholic. I got the communion, the confirmation. I'm ready for marriage.
All the things.
Just in case.
I'm ready for my last sacrament.
But I haven't, I just feel like, I think that people should have the right to explore what's the right fit for them. But again, I don't want to get canceled. I don't know any, you know, like I went to, with college, I went to Brazil. It was by mistake. I wanted to go for fun, but it was a grad class. It was a mess. But like I was a mess, but we did study like the orishas and like candomblé. And I was able, even it's not a practice that I want to participate. It was dope to see how other people kind of welcome gods or their God into their community. So I think we should be open to hearing other people's lifestyles or stuff like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that we're going to be practicing it, but just understanding people, I think is so important. Because I feel like religion and spirituality can sometimes cause such a big divide when in truthful, it's supposed to be something about just rooted in love, right?
Or like maybe even a compass for life. I think we were talking before we went on air about like, with comedy, like I feel like I couldn't be here if I didn't have some kind of spirituality, because I'm like, sometimes you get lost in life, so it's nice to have a place to go back to. It's like, this is my compass. This is, maybe that could be like the 10 Commandments for someone, or you know, that's like how you can navigate through life, because life gets kind of scary sometimes.
It does get scary, and we were even talking about like existential.
We were talking about that,
like off camera, which I've had so many more, particularly weirdly when I come back from like a vacation, and like I had been like partying or something, and like in the past I'd come back and I just like lay in bed like having a crazy existential crisis. Those are scary.
I have one like once a week when I'm doing comedy. I'm just
why do you think?
You know, I'm a Pisces moon. So we live in existential dread, but it's just like the idea of like the fact that we only get one life, and like, you know, whenever, and like now that I'm seeing my niece grow up, like it's just scary to me, like to be like, I don't know, like I think anyone that like maybe has a kid or has felt a death in their family sometimes questions like their purpose on life. So I just been having a lot of like, I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I living life the right way? Am I on the right path? I do that all the, I just also overthink. Like I overthink everything.
So you need meditation.
I know. I want to do a meditate. I've thought about doing Olympia.
Yeah. What are some of your meditations because you're a meditation teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are some things you do or teach or?
So
rituals?
I teach Primordial Sound Meditation, which is a mantra that is a sound that was created out in the universe the moment of your birth. So it's used calculated at the time of your birth and the place that you were born. So it's very powerful. It's calculated mathematically. And you're given this mantra in a ceremony and you meditate with this mantra and it becomes the tool that takes you from this state of consciousness to back to where you were born, to back where God resides. So it is a spiritual journey and it takes you back and forth, and it's really great. You know, like a lot of people use it, of course, for stress and health benefits and all of that and overthinking, but really.
So how do we find our sound?
I would have to give it to
Map
you.
it out.
Or another teacher, another Primordial Sound Meditation
never heard
teacher.
Of this one. I never heard of this.
Yeah.
Does everyone know what time they were born? Just random
Yeah.
tangent. What time were you born?
7:45 p.m.
You?
Like 6-ish, I think, 7.
PM or AM?
PM.
That makes all the difference. You?
3 p.m.
I was 1:10 in the morning. Yeah,
Wow.
I actually have a tat. Yeah,
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I have it tatted on the side. I have a bunch of tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, it's a mess.
110.
I was 18.
That's a special number.
If you think so, what does that
think so.
mean?
It's an angel number, 110. Yeah.
Wait, what? See, now my girls don't got
Okay,
angel
well, I
numbers.
don't know all about angel numbers.
The ones over here that like
They were like,
oh, love God. We're like, we don't.
Yo, God did not give y'all an angel number. That's crazy. No, I'm kidding. I was born in 110.
What do you think the biggest difference between religion and spirituality is?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know that. Yeah.
I think
For you.
Oh, for me, for me personally, I think it's just following your own path. You know, there's no dogma attached to it. There's really, it's just you exploring your own inner depth and you finding that truth within you. You know, nowhere else. I think that's what it means to me.
And I think we talked a lot off camera, but we were also talking about like finding your highest self. Like,
your highest
do you
self.
ever arrive there? Because some days I'll have like moments where I'm like, yo, like I made it, and then now like just to be transparent, I'm just like, yo, what time am I gonna get there? Because I have been traveling. Like even before I got here, I was
Like when does my highest self come in?
when do you meet
how many
the
hours
highest
the plane is
girl?
it?
I've been traveling for the highest self for 33 years
on a
and 8
journey.
hours, and I'm like,
hours
when do you ever get there? Because like how much work, like I've done work, like I've sat there and every day, like I've done different techniques, but I'm like, when did I meet her? Because
I mean, do you think, I feel like I have had visions of my highest self, of myself. Like I have been like, whoa. Like there's like little visions that I have of what I imagine myself being like the highest form, the purest form, the most beautiful form, the most closest to source form. I have seen it. And I know that it's gonna take a lot of discipline and sacrifices and like responsibility to get there. And I can't wait for that moment when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing a few things because that's where I can get closer. It's like it's like kind of like eliminating all the barriers that get me as close as I can with source. So I know the vision or the version of me that I think is my highest self, but it's just a matter of like really wanting it and getting, you know what I mean? And time, obviously, but like there's a point when you're like, okay, I'm 33, 34 years old, like I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and like
you know what makes you feel good.
Exactly. Like if I really when I really want it, I'm gonna make it happen, you know. And I think it's around this time.
Ivana, what does your inner source look like? Like, does she have clothes? Does she like? How does she appear
no clothes,
to you?
just like chicken nuggets here, 2 little chicken. No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, what?
No, she's like, she's glowing and she's wearing like white and like smiling, and there's kids, all these like a school of kids around, and I'm like in a field and I'm like just playing. It's a weird thing, but like it's like almost like in the future I see myself devoting my whole self to service to kids in different places, but I can't do it until I have a platform and I have a voice and I have a, you know, like a reason to like step out into that world and knowledge to give to kids and resources to help. Like so I'm just walking this path right now to get to that version, and I can't wait to get there, you know. And I know that God is like leading me every step of the way. So that's kind of like how I just harbor my life, and I try to be the best version of myself every day, even though I do things that I know that aren't the best. You know?
Like what?
Like drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I could say the same thing
You know?
for people that, try to be as good as they can in their faith. Like, I mess up all the time. Like, look, I'm sipping on wine and, like,
Not that it's a bad thing.
It's not. But you try your best every single day, and you will fail. You're human. We're literally flawed.
Yeah, we make
flawed.
mistakes every single day. Yeah. Or like the ways that I eat, or like maybe not saying some words that I shouldn't be saying, or saying things, gossiping things that are just not conducive or helpful for the energy, like a positive energy. Like I know what's good. Yeah. I'm not saying that there's a good and a bad, but you know what I mean? So I think that's like the biggest thing for me in my life right now is like just walking the path of where I know I should be, and the universe is just waiting for me to get there. You know what I mean? But it takes time and experience. And
I have a question. Has anyone got a tarot reading? What do you think about that? And because I don't know if you ladies seen the movie Carmen with Beyonce. It was like a thing thank you. It was like a while ago. But ever since I seen the movie and the death card came out, I was like, I can't do tarot cards. But then I started getting into them again, and then I get really creeped out whenever I see like the death card. Yeah. Even though it's not like it doesn't mean a bad thing, but I just always think about like that.
Yeah.
The Carmen.
What's the science behind that? I would love to know, because you hear, or does anybody here know? Does anybody know?
I mean,
like,
I don't know the actual answer, but I've done tarot cards. I've gotten a reading before, and I also have my own cards. And I think it just works from intuition and also the knowledge and self-experience that you have. I don't think it's like fortune telling or something.
It's not like telling the future.
It's nothing like that. I think it's more so it's just symbolisms of what it could mean, and then paired with other cards, it just tells a story. So a person that can read cards is just reading symbols, basically. It's how I've perceived it to be.
So what is, if somebody wants to go get like a tarot card reading and they're looking for answers, but you're saying, obviously you said it's not telling the future, you're not like saying this is what's going to happen if you get like the death card, for instance. So what exactly is the reasoning why people would go get them?
I don't know.
I mean, I used to get them when I felt lost, or like if I was in a bad relationship, like, yo, what does this mean? Or
really?
Like
just kind of finding the truth, or
like if you're on the right path. But then I just stopped messing with them, because like there's a point where it's like for me, it's like, what was the point of knowing the future? Like, it's like, I should just make the best of now. It's like, I was just always trying to find out what happened in the future. And then I heard that if you get too many readings, it kind of changes your path. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just chill. Like, I should just make the most of this moment. Yeah. But once in a while, like, we having girls' night. I'm like, oh, let me do a tarot. But one time I did that, and it was a bad reading. And I was like, that's why I stopped messing with them, because like that girl had a bad year the year after I did that. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. But I just think like all of this is just guidance. Like, I think that we don't really have... Life is really whatever you make it. So it's like, if you want to, follow a certain guide or like a spiritual religion, it's just to give you like, I guess, meaning every day on earth. Because like, everyone arrives to it at different points.
I just want to chime in too and just give, because tarot cards aren't also just always about spirituality, and they kind of talk to the universal human experience. And if you guys look at folk storytellers, or just like stories being passed down, even as much as the Bible, it's really about kind of taking those stories, which encapsulate human lessons, and then allow people to really kind of then interpret that for their own journey.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say about that. It's like you kind of have a question when you have a question while you're doing the cards, and you have this story of what the card is, and you get to interpret it personally and kind of give yourself an answer. It's kind of like an intuitive answer. It has nothing to do with like this is telling you exactly what to do. It's like you have a question, you kind of get like a little guidance, and you figure it out yourself. You know what I mean? Wow, yeah. Like it's like your own homework. Yeah.
Having a relationship with another individual that is so intimate, that is spiritual.
Imagine.
You know what I mean?
Is that what I had?
It's like cosmic.
I think I had tantric sex.
Cosmic. You said it.
No, because sorry. So, did anyone grow up watching any like magic kind of shows?
Walter Mercado?
Well, not only obviously Walter Mercado, he was in every home, but like maybe like a Charmed or Buffy. I feel like not enough people give Charmed their flowers. I was so like me and my sister grew up watching Charmed. Did you have a witch that you related to, like one of the sisters?
Well, I didn't watch Charmed, but I grew up like just really loving like the witchy spells and like all of those
I loved Harry Potter.
Harry Potter books, that counts as spirituality.
I loved Harry Potter.
Right? What house are you in, Jessica?
You tell me.
You're the one that loved. I want to
know. Slytherin for sure.
I'm not no Slytherin. I'm definitely Gryffindor.
Like Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw. I think you're like
Hufflepuff. I know I'm a Puffy right now, but
no, you're Ravenclaw. I feel like I'm a Gryffindor. Yeah.
Gryffindor?
Yeah. I'm just always trying to find
Me
the
too.
quest
What
in the
am I?
battle. Yeah.
Gryffindor.
I feel like Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff. You're Hufflepuff with this sweater?
And there's nothing wrong with Slytherin. There is, just for the Slytherin people out there, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with Slytherin, you guys.
I'm just not honest, so she puts me in Slytherin.
I'll be Hufflepuff.
But you know, Harry Potter was both in Slytherin and Gryffindor.
Really?
Yeah, because he had some traits. It was like a whole thing. It was part of like the movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
it was,
Harry
it was in the
Potter.
movie. No, so did anybody like watch any like read any fantasy books besides Harry Potter? Like I just feel like it was like a thing.
Ooh, speaking of fantasy books, do you believe in Tantra?
What's
Tantra?
Tantra?
Oh, no, I haven't. No, I just started. That word just came to my
we're off.
awareness.
I feel like there's so
Really?
many
A little bit,
different
yeah.
parts of spirituality, like the yoga and then astrology.
What is Tantra?
Astronomy? Astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even
Well,
know what Tantra is.
spirituality, the word is spiritual ritual. It's
I
spirit
never-
ritual. It's
So
like
that could be
whatever.
so many different-
Yeah, it has nothing to do. Like spirituality isn't like a religion. It's just like what
yeah.
rituals you use to harbor and to give love to your spirit.
Yeah.
So whether that's praying, the Bible, going to church, reading, writing, yoga, like it's just your spiritual ritual. That's spirituality. You know, so it's not like that word. It's just kind of like a. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just
It's
a
like an
general,
umbrella
yeah, the
term.
general
It's like
sense.
a genre.
Yeah, of how you harbor your spirit.
Yeah.
And I have a definition for you guys on Tantra. So in Sanskrit, the word Tantra means woven together. People who practice Buddhist and Hindu meditation may also practice like Tantric Sex as a way to weave the physical with the
Oh,
spiritual.
Tantric Sex.
So this
Yeah, have you heard of
practice
that?
brings
Oh my
together
God.
spirituality and
Yeah.
sexuality and emphasizes the importance of
I mean,
intimacy.
I've heard of that.
Just think
Yes.
about having a relationship with another individual that is so
Tapped in.
intimate, that is spiritual.
Imagine.
You know what I mean?
Is that what I had?
It's like cosmic.
I think I had Tantric Sex.
Cosmic, you said it.
No, because sorry. What's the difference between? I already consider sex a spiritual thing. So what more? Like how much more spiritual can it get? Like and I will say, you know, I'm just transparent. Like for me, like before in my 20s, when I was having sex, it was just like a thing, whatever. But now as I'm in my 30s, like it really means like I'm connecting with that person. Like the last person I was with, like I love him. So like, is that how do you know the difference between regular sex and like something that's more spiritual? I mean, I don't know if we have the answer.
That's a
but,
really good question.
But like for me, the whole act of it is spiritual. So I'm like, what is? I guess
That's
tantric
hard.
makes it like more exciting.
I don't know what does anybody know what like the techniques are for that type
I
of
just know, like, from what my friend is, he does breath work, and part of it's tantric, and he just is. It's about connecting to the breath with the other person, like being one. That's like what I know. So, but it's must to do with like you know, it's not even like sexual. Like you can be intimate with just breath work with the person. Like it's not even about being naked. It's just about being face to face and connecting with the person and being one, like one like breath, one heart.
I don't know if
like
I'm
one
doing
life.
that. I don't want someone in my face like that. Sorry. I'm just saying, I gotta look more. We need some more examples of and again,
I mean, that's just like one thought that I had. I don't
Yeah.
really know
Yeah, that's
exactly the
that's
definition,
good.
but it's just
Yeah,
about really
that's good to
connecting with
know.
the person that you're with,
Yeah.
and not even in a sexual way, in a like just a soul way.
I feel like if you're okay, as people would say, like making love with someone, right? Because I know like sex, you know, having sex nowadays in our society has become something super casual. Obviously, people are like, you know, it's your body, you could do what, you know, do whatever you want, but it has, in a sense, I feel like lost a little bit of that. This is actually a connection. Like you're really making a connection with someone every time you sleep with them. And I know some people aren't going to agree with me. They're going to say, well, I can, you know, sleep with someone and not feel anything. But I genuinely do feel like a part of you leave a part of each other with each other. So I feel like regardless if you're doing breath work or not, if you're doing it with someone that you really love and this is like your person, you're going to feel that spiritual connection every single time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's why I maybe loved my last guy, because I loved him. But let's start talking about sex, because I was like, you know,
Yeah, can we?
oh, you know, because
Move
no,
on.
but it's part of spirituality. You know, it's connecting with other people. Even if,
Soul
would you ever
ties.
be friends with someone that isn't like your level of spiritual? Like sometimes I feel like I am connecting with people, and I'm like, I don't think we're at the same level, like in our spiritual journey. So I do keep them at a distance. Like, do you ever feel that way?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever like have,
personally, and that's a really good question,
Yeah.
Gloria, because you come from an industry, and I'm sure friendships where it's, you know, we all know that the beauty, you know, social media world got a little bit crazy there for a while, and priorities are kind of all out of whack. When you made your transition, like, how was it with your friends, like in friends that maybe didn't follow that path with you?
Yeah, I went through a period where I had no friends. I was completely like alone for almost 2 years, just because I felt like I had to do a lot of work within myself. And in order for me to give my true authentic self without my ego like putting up walls and guarding and protecting me. I just kind of had to stay away from people, but it just happened naturally, you know. But also I think a big part was that in the industry, I was going to events and being around a lot of environments where I'm like, we can't even go deep with each other. There's no connection here. Everything is extremely superficial. And I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to spend my life like that. I wanted you to, like, to be in this, in a space like this, but having these connections and having these type of conversations.
Yeah, what is real?
You know?
It's like past surface level. Like,
One of my friends asked me, I had some, you know, like, we were making new friends. One of my friends had asked me one time, like, what do you and so-and-so connect on? And I thought it was a really good question, because then it makes you peel back the layers of what is this friendship about? Like, are we connecting because, like, what is the mutual interest here? Like, are we connecting because we're both, like, growing, or is it like a negative connection? I think I, to be honest, I just cut someone off that I'm like, you know, I don't think we were connecting on something positive. It wasn't like bad, but it was like, I think after that situation happened, we didn't have anything to talk about anymore. So I was like, I like you, but I don't know if we're going to be doing this journey for the rest of our lives
it's
together.
so true. It's
what
so
do you
true.
feel about, like, I feel like now spirituality is like, it's trending in like in a way that could be
exploited.
exploited, and there could be like, you know, people are following gurus that have no knowledge or education, proper education, or whatever it is. Like, what do you feel about that in the industry with the spirituality? Like, do you think that you should be careful about certain things?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you discern? Like,
I think that's why it's so important for us as individuals to do the inner work, you know, and like you said, like, follow gurus who actually have like Paramahansa Yogananda, and I know, me too, and like Jesus Christ, people who have been self-realized for real, like in this incarnation in the world, and learning about everything is so empowering. Also about every religion, everything out there. When you empower yourself with knowledge, you can't be easily swayed.
100%.
Because I know when I first joined a Christian church, and I was pretty naive, and people would tell me, oh, you can't be into crystals, Dulce, you can't study yoga, this is not what God wants, you're going to hell, and this and that. I would be so afraid that even meditation became scary for me.
Meditation, I know, like, even against the religion, if you really look into it, like yoga, meditation, those are all things that are like
that you're not supposed to be doing, you know. And I felt like the greatest power that I was able to have for myself is just to learn and understand everything, you know, because if not, then you won't be afraid. Now you understand.
You understand.
And you can make your own decision from a place of power instead of just listening to what other people have to say, because all of the answers are within us. You know what I mean? Like, and literally no one else can give us those answers.
And I think people forget that meditation is prayer.
Yeah.
Like I said, just prayer is a different word. Yeah. Prayer, you sit down, you're in silence, and you're speaking to whoever, whatever source. Meditation is the same thing. You're sitting in silence, and you're praying, and you're asking for things, and you're talking to somebody, and you're listening, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, I sit on the ocean, and I sit for 20 minutes with silence, and I listen.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. And then I also can pray on my knees at the church for 30 minutes, and I listen. So it's just like, people misconstrue these words just because like meditation, prayer, like, it's all one. Yeah. Everyone just learned it in different ways.
And you can pray, like, when you meditate, you can use like amen. You can meditate on that mantra. Om and amen basically mean the same thing.
Exactly.
And I like to say, I heard a quote somewhere, not me, I don't like to say, well, I like to say it, but I heard a quote that says, prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening. Because meditation is quieting the mind. So you're able to hear God. And prayer is, of course, we're talking to God, you know?
So, okay, so people that are spiritual, that aren't religious, when they do meditate, what do you think people are thinking about? If, like, because there are people that are spiritual that don't maybe necessarily believe in, you know, God, the God that maybe Christians or Catholics believe. When they are listening, what are they listening to? Like their inner selves?
I think like they're silencing
who they
are.
Yeah, silencing your mind.
Oh, that is so, for me to just sit there and not think of anything and it just be blank space is,
that means that
it comes to you.
That you
like,
need it more.
You need it the most.
Yeah.
So
seriously.
No, really, that's no. I swear.
You can sit there for 20 minutes and not think of anything. Just whiteness.
No, you don't.
No, you're not just whiteness. You think, but you're not having thoughts of like jumbled thoughts, and you can't like have a moment of just peaceful.
You're being aware of those thoughts.
You're being aware of the thoughts and letting them kind of go by without you.
Go by. And
like
then
fixating on them.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is becoming the observer of the thoughts, because a lot of times we attach ourselves to the thoughts we're having. If we're having a bad day, like you say, oh, I'm having a bad day.
So true.
But it's literally a thought that is coming by your mind. Like, so in meditation, you become detached and you start to see, oh, my mind is just thinking. If you're sleeping at night or just laying in bed and you're having all of these anxious thoughts about life and everything, you, with meditation and with regular consistency, you start to see, you are the one observing, and the awareness behind the mind activity, whatever's happening in your body.
Yeah.
And that's the power, you know, that's when you become detached and you start to see that you're way more than your mind and your body and the situation. Like there's more to you than all of that, and that you're not that.
Yeah, it's so true. And I would definitely like agree with the bodies that we have now. This is us in physical form, but truthfully, there is something so much more powerful and something that I feel like will live on forever, which is your soul, which is like your even like the consciousness that we have. I feel like there's something so special to speak on consciousness. The fact that we're able to have this conversation and be aware and to think, that's not something that I feel like science or the brain works like this can ever really explain. And again, like people that are spiritual, you believe in a source, in the universe, you know, whatever it is that, you know, you believe in and that makes you feel peaceful. It's so crazy because again, like I just only believe science can only go so far. Science can only go so far, at least like for me.
Yeah, exactly. And how did your life change when you became aware, and your awareness and your consciousness?
Oh my God, completely, like 100%. My whole life changed. I mean, for the better. You know, I was struggling with depression and anxiety, and also like my career and was such a big part of me because what I do for a living is what I do all day, every day. So it had to be something super meaningful. It had to be something that I really loved, and I felt like I could be of service, you know? And to me, meditation has been the key that opened me up in so many different ways. I mean, just patience overall, but just knowing that, you know, like just being in alignment wherever you are, you're just happy, even though you don't know where you're going, even though you don't know what's to come for you. You're you're happy to be here, you know, and you're enjoying it. Yeah.
Do you ever judge your past self for not knowing any better? Because I mean, like knowing any better in your subjective,
And she was in the military.
Yeah, like, do you ever judge like some of the decisions you made, like before you became spiritual?
I don't. I mean, sometimes I have regrets about like being in the army and because it's not such a healthy environment, you know, and there's a lot of like war is just ugly and things like that. But it's also a part of my journey, and I'm grateful for every single step in the journey.
That's so crazy because you see you now, you feel you're beautiful. You have beautiful energy, and you know you're super well spoken. And just to imagine you in the armies, even
what were you
that's
doing
crazy.
in the army?
I can't see it.
Well, you were
I'm sure you're badass, but
you're being of service, right? In both ways, service to the country, and now you're being of service to the people. Right, so like you wanted to be of service. That was your goal.
Yeah, always. I think since I was a little girl, I've always. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I could see it. Like you always just know there's something that God wants you to do, right? Like there's something more, and you know there's something for you.
For sure. Wow.
Yeah, I really want to feel what these lessons are teaching me, and so for me, marijuana in that sense helps me out. I haven't tried mushrooms, but I am interested in doing that at some
I
point.
want to do a mushroom trip, but I hear that you have to go with the right people.
I mean, I don't even know where to get it.
Oh, me neither. Well, Jessica.
My cousin Bernie.
Right.
My cousin Bernie.
I tried, you know, meditation, and I really looked into all of that stuff. I want to say this was like in 2017, and still I dealt with so much. You know, every morning actually before work, I would sit there and, you know, meditate, which was try to clear your mind. I'd put on meditation sounds and I would lay, and it did help me for actually a while. I'm like, I feel so much calmer. Like I felt like all these things. But again, like every single person is gonna, different things are gonna help different people.
But I think you talk about running a lot. And I think meditation is also just doing something that doesn't, you don't think about like, you know, work or I have to do this. It's just you just
being
in your body, just breathing. And so I think that might be your meditation.
There's different forms.
You know?
Totally.
That is so true. Actually, the way that I had personally shifted from, you know, doing more so the spiritual stuff into more like a faith-based thing is I was running actually in the middle of the morning. It was still dark. And out of nowhere, I wasn't searching for it. I wasn't seeking it. In the middle of this run that I was doing down the beach, nobody was there. I felt like wind hit my face. It was so fresh. It felt so good. And I just felt... there's no other word to describe it. For me, it was just God speaking to me and saying, you've been lost. I feel like you've been lost personally. And I lifted up my hands like this and I just started saying, oh my God, like, I don't want to say like, oh my God, but literally it was like, God,
my God.
you know, I feel you. I feel you talking to me. I fell to my knees. And I was just like, and people would always say, I've never felt God's presence. And I didn't. And I guess for, you know, anybody that's in spirituality, I never felt what you guys would call maybe like,
it is
the
God.
creator or whatever it might be. For some people it's not. I'm trying to respect, you know, however, you know, other people may identify this presence as. For me, it was 1000% God. It was undeniable to me. And yeah, since then I knew, okay, what people speak about when they feel like the power of the Holy Spirit or like this feeling was so undeniable for me. And that's what I do sometimes, you know, when I do talk to God, I say, God, I just wish you revealed yourself to more people, because it is absolutely one of the most beautiful feelings in the world. And just like I'm sure other people that, you know, do other methods and practice, they also feel like that sense of calmness, you know? So
I feel like mine is when I'm writing. Like I just am away from everyone. The one time I get to be alone is in the shower. So I just be like, oh my God, finally some raw, just by myself thoughts. And then when I'm writing, like when I'm literally doing, I don't know if you ladies seen the movie Soul. Yeah. So you know, like when they're in that space of like creating, that's when the zone, the blue zone, that's when I feel the best. But I don't have a lot of opportunity to get there. Sometimes I'm always like moving around. I have a question, because I feel like you ladies I feel like everyone's much better at what they do. Like there are people like me, like, you know, when I used to meditate and they'd be like, oh, you got to breathe the right way, or you got to put your hand the right way. What do you say to people that just don't know how to do, like, participate in these rituals the right way? Like, even like I will feel embarrassed to go back to church and like I forgot which hand to put the communion in. I was like, I'm gonna be embarrassed. So like, what do you say to people that are afraid to participate and really want to be part, like get back into religion or do spirituality and like don't know the right way to do it? Without getting judged. I feel like there's a lot of judgment sometimes when you don't know.
Yeah, like for you personally, like your journey, like how did you start? Did you start reading books? Did you start following like gurus?
Yeah, everything. I think the first thing that started for me was just, I love courses and just studying things from like start to finish. So that's when I started to learn meditation and then get certified to become a teacher. And then that opened me up to yoga, and that opened me up to Paramahansa Yogananda and his connections to Jesus Christ and Christianity and how that correlates with one another. And it just kind of started taking off from there, you know, and I started to develop my own things. But in the beginning, I was also doing like the Florida water. I was doing a lot of crystals, a lot of...
Do you have like an altar?
Yes, I have an altar.
What does your altar look like?
I have my vision board.
Yeah. Okay.
I have usually flowers. I have all of the gurus of the self-realization.
Me too, with the one thing that's all unfolded. I have that. I love that place. There's a place called Self-Realization Lake that is in Palisades, in the Pacific Palisades. That's where a part of Gandhi's ashes are there. And Paramahansa Yogananda like made it for anyone to come to meditate. It's free. Beautiful, it's beautiful. There's a lake and swans and a church and a chapel. It's gorgeous. If anyone wants to go visit, please do.
And I recommend... Yes, I recommend the lessons, studying the lessons of the Paramahansa Yogananda. It's honestly the biggest life-changing thing for me. He teaches you how to really meditate and ask like God, or, you know, like reveal yourself, like really command God to reveal himself to you, and he will with patience and and reverence and a yearning and a craving to know that, you know, a craving to love him,
to call for him.
And honestly, the biggest thing that changed is just the love that you give to people, like the overflowing love that you just have to give to everybody.
You know, that's good, because I feel like lately I've been taken advantage of, and I'm like, you know what, this is a purpose. My purpose is to be helpful, so I shouldn't feel a type of way, because I be feeling taken, like I feel like that's a better perspective of like I was just called to help. Other people can't do that, so I shouldn't feel like I'm being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
I like that.
See,
I walked away.
Helping without expecting anything in return. Right.
Wait, so your altar, you have the saints. You have
the saints, the flower, the vision board. I burn some incense, and pretty much that's it. I just keep it pretty simple. Sometimes I have photos of my ancestors.
Ancestors.
Wait, what's your your nationality background?
I'm Mexican.
Okay, because I feel like an altar, like I feel like I don't have an altar, but I do have like candles. But I know that one thing that me and my mom have been talking a lot, and we were like, should we start celebrating? Is Dia de los Muertos. I think it's really dope. Like I think sometimes when you're grieving, you just kind of like you do a prayer, or you do like you know, like I forgot the name of it, but you just like wish the person to the next lifetime. But I love how for Dia de los Muertos, every once a year you get to remember everyone that has passed, and I really do love that. I wish that there was something like that in the Dominican community, you know. So you have your ancestors on your altar?
Yes, I do, but I haven't done a Dia de los Muertos altar just yet.
That's
but I
beautiful.
Want to.
With the flowers and the water.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys have altars as well?
I just have, when you walk into my room, into my apartment, I have a mirror. I have 2 candles, a protection candle, the Virgin Mary. It's some other candle, I don't know the name, but I know it means something good. And then I go to this bookshop called Namaste Bookshop. It's on Union Square, and I have I think it's like a Reiki candle, and this year I wanted to have stability in my life, stability and abundance. Sometimes I'll like get like a money candle or whatever, but I'm like, I want something bigger than that. I just want stability. So that's just what I have there. My crystal, my pyrite. For good luck.
Oh, I was gonna wear a ring like that. Yeah,
and then that's it. Like it's pretty simple. But I do feel like I'm bad. Like I should have pictures of people up or something.
However you feel. Whatever you feel called to do.
Yeah.
So what about in the morning? What's your rituals when you wake up?
When I wake up in the morning, I go straight into meditation. I started wearing a white turban just to kind of keep the energy of the crown, because when you're meditating, you also want the energy to move up through the spine and into your third eye. So I put on a turban, I sit in my meditation for 20 minutes and just concentrate. The key word is to learn how to concentrate on God and that energy within.
Wow.
And
how do you know if your third eye open? Like, how would I know if my third eye is open?
I haven't had mine.
Oh, I thought you said you had.
No, I focus on the third eye.
Oh, okay.
The inner third eye. But I haven't. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's okay. So another thing I wanted to ask, because we were talking about like third eyes, and people consider maybe, and I want to know what you think, because I feel like it is kind of attached to spirituality, which is doing mushrooms or like these psychedelics that people do describe as like a spiritual journey. And I do want to preface this by saying I have done mushrooms last year.
Mushrooms?
Yeah. Last year for the first time, I did it because I was going through one of the worst depressions of my life. I was so anxious. I was just like a complete mess. Sometimes I couldn't even get out of bed from like how paralyzing it was. And I was trying to find like ways that I had done my research on mushrooms, and it did say, okay, this is something that has, proven to cure depression or anxiety. Like people have seen studies on, or PTSD from maybe soldiers that go to war. So I did do it, and it was the craziest experience of my life. Would I do it again? Probably not. I think at the time when I did feel super lost, it made sense for me. And like you said, you have to explore and figure out what works for you. And I've found what honestly works for me. And now I don't feel like I need to ever turn to psychedelics again, anymore. But in that moment, right, we all go through our phases and chapters and our moments. What do you think? What do you think is the connection between spirituality and things like psychedelics and mushrooms?
Oh, I mean, I definitely smoke a little marijuana. And I definitely feel like when I'm studying my lessons, like my Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda lessons, I like to smoke a little bit because I feel like I can really absorb what I'm reading, because I don't want the words just to be words. I really want to feel what these lessons are teaching me. And so for me, marijuana in that sense helps me out. I haven't tried mushrooms, but I am interested in doing that at some
I
point.
want to do a mushroom trip, but I hear that you have to go with the right people.
I mean, I don't even know where to get it.
Oh, me neither. With Jessica.
My cousin Bernie.
Right.
My cousin Bernie. Find someone. My cousin. But listen.
But offline.
Offline. We'll bleep out his name. Yeah. Anyway, but it's they do say that like you have to have I think they call it a trip sitter, which is somebody that can really calm you down, because it is a very overwhelming experience. And I did it actually alone. I didn't want it to be I'm doing this for the party or for it to be like this turn up thing, which some people can do. Absolutely not. Especially if it's your first time. I don't recommend doing that, because it is you feel something or you see something, or you're not exactly in, I don't even know how to describe it. You're not here. Yeah. You're like somewhere else. Yeah. And it's super overwhelming. So being around the right people is everything. If not, if you're not going to do it alone.
Oh my God.
But you do marijuana and like other things.
No, that's it.
Okay. I just get I get scared of like getting my brain like altered if I do like the wrong drug. So that's why I don't do them.
And I also feel like you have to be in almost a right state of mind.
Safe space.
In a safe space for sure. Because I know when I was depressed, I couldn't handle marijuana at all. I felt like it just enhanced everything. But when I'm in a good point in my life, I feel like a little bit.
Exactly. A little third eye.
Yeah, a little third eye.
Because you've grown so much, and because you've found, so much peace in spirituality, your circle, I'm sure, has changed. Is that something you're able to talk about with like your new friends or even some of your old friends? Or
Yeah, I think I think as you evolve and you raise your own vibration, you start attracting the right people that can meet you at that wavelength. You know what I mean? So all of my friends, beautiful people, heart-centered, God-centered people that I never thought I would have. And even meeting you ladies here, I think is definitely a right vibe. So
that's so true. You really do attract.
Honestly.
Yeah, and people can only meet you where they've met themselves. So like you said, you're going to attract people that are riding along on that same wavelength or that same bame system as you. So that's amazing. And also with your like, man, like props to you guys. So many different versions of yourself, but you guys have been able to grow together. That is some serious goals. And personally, it's been so nice being able to talk to you. You have such a beautiful, like I said, beautiful energy. And I love that although not everybody here will have the same approach or the same belief systems, and even if we stand, firm in our beliefs, we are able to have that conversation. And I feel like that is seriously lacking in this society. It is so much, my way, you're wrong, and if you don't believe what I believe, you're ignorant. It's like, okay, let me ask you questions and you ask me questions, and it's like such a beautiful conversation. So we're super thankful for you coming on here and being open and having these like amazing conversations where we could definitely learn from each other. You're amazing. I love your energy. Also, I know you're a businesswoman. You're working on things as well, and you're kind of merging your passions and what you have found into being able to, express it to the world. So tell me a little bit about like what you're working on. I know you're working on something.
Yeah, I've launched Sweet Soul, which is now has transformed into a mindfulness company. So my intention is to bring meditation and yoga to communities of people of color, especially because I feel like there's not a lot of representation in that community. So I'm excited just to kind of bring that more.
Make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you guys follow her on social media for more information on that. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Girl, Let Me Tell You. I'm Jessica Flores.
I'm Yvonne Rojas.
And I'm Dulce Candy.
And I'm Glitterly's Mora, your legendary comedian. And we'll see you on the next episode of Girl, Let Me Tell You. Yes.